Alright, so let's get started. These are the 5 news that we will discuss. So have you guys, you get the PDFs and stuff, na? So have you read it or not? No, theek hai. Anyway, so 5 things. First is the changes that have been made in the EPFO. theek hai? So what is the factual data about the EPFO, which will basically help us understand why these changes were made. But these changes, what are the benefits of it or the advantages of it, or what are the disadvantages of it is what we will see. So in EPFO, what they have done is change certain rules. Now earlier certain amount you can withdraw, now that amount has changed. When you can withdraw, that has changed. The number of times that you can withdraw, that has changed. So a lot has changed with respect to the EPFO rules. We'll understand what those changes are, then we'll understand what impact those changes will have. So for example, many people are criticizing that after the recent changes in the EPFO, it will no longer be a pension, a retirement fund. It would rather be used as to have liquidity in emergency situation. Whereas the motive of pension fund is what? After retirement, when you are not doing a job, when you are out of the working age group, that is when you should use it. But probably with these new modifications, you will be allowed to withdraw a lot, is what is being criticized. But we will see whether that is the reality or not. Second is the decarbonization of the Indian Railways. A big editorial kind of article was present with respect to this. However, the news is of July, wherein we had tested the hydrogen railways was what was tested. The hydrogen fueled or powered train was actually test was being run. So we will discuss about the decarbonizing of Indian Railways. Okay, what is that all about? Next is, so these two are quite important, detailed discussion. Now third one is World Food Day and the 80th anniversary of Food and Agriculture Organization. So this is more important with respect to your prelims. What is this? What is the theme of that particular day? Right, but also we will look at some data facts which will help us in our mains examination. Next is the Rangarajan poverty line. So remember, Rangarajan poverty line we have discussed in our economy classes, and also remember that Rangarajan poverty line was as such never officially accepted by the government of India. But still, Rangarajan poverty line is being used by the government without officially notifying that we accept it. So what has happened with respect to this Rangarajan poverty line is RBI has basically updated this Rangarajan poverty line for about 20 states of India in order to understand what is the poverty situation in India. Updated means what? This poverty line came in 2014 and based on the data of 2011-12. So whatever the data was that earning 47 rupees in rural areas, all those things, which will not be applicable right now because inflation and all that has taken place. So that data needs to be updated. That poverty line needs to be updated. So RBI on its own has updated that and has estimated that based on this updated Rangarajan poverty line, what is the situation of poverty in India. Okay. So which are the states which have seen the highest decline? So the highest decline would generally be in the states in which poverty was very high. The states in which poverty was already very less, the decline will also be very less. So the highest decline would be seen in states like Odisha, in Bihar. The lowest will be seen in states like Kerala, for example. The South Indian states would be lesser decline will be there. And the last one is Global Multidimensional Poverty Index. This report has been released. So we will see, we will revisit what are the parameters are there for multidimensional poverty. Okay? So let's get started with the very first thing, that is the EPFO, that changes that have been made. So first, some data about the EPFO. So if you look at the final settlements of the EPFO, majority of the final settlement means what? You have done your working age is done, you now want to extract the money that is there in the EPFO, that is final settlement, right? Final settlement is not just withdrawal, but the final settlement after which your EPFO account will be closed. Now that final settlement majorly happens because of loss of job, requirement of money, and it does not happen because of the age of retirement as such is reached. You have stopped working, there is no job after 40, 45, 50, 55 years of age, you are not getting any further job. If there is no job for you for the last 1 year, whatever amount is there, you are withdrawing it. This is prevalent in the private sector. This is the reason, right? Next is 65% of the members earn less than 15,000 per month. 65% of which members? The members who are subscribers of the EPFO. The members who are part of the pension fund, 65% are earning less than 15,000 rupees. Now what is the connection here? As far as provident funds are concerned, if your salary is less than 15,000, the employer will mandate, it is mandatory for you to have the provident fund. It is mandatory. If your salary is less than 15,000, it is mandatory for you to have the provident fund. Right? Why is that so? Your salary is very less. You will not be able to save much for the future, right? As a result of which we are making it mandatory for you to have a provident fund. So just because it's mandatory, that is why you can see 65% people are having whose salary is less. Counter argument is, already my salary is less, on top of that also the provident fund is probably going away. But the benefit is what? When you have the provident fund, you will be getting the interest payment. This is about 8.3% of interest is what your pension fund earns. So if you are having a provident fund, there will be three components. One will be the employer contribution, the other will be the employee contribution, which is similar. The third will be the interest contribution, which is 8.3%. Now, one thing with the interest is that, let's say if I lose my job and for 6 months I am out of my job. After 6 months, my provident fund account, nothing is going inside it. So it will become dormant. Now, when it becomes dormant, it does not earn interest on it. So remember that. If it's dormant for the next 6 months, it will not earn interest. Now, right now we have the universal account number. That means if I had a provident fund in my previous organization, I will be given a universal account number. If I go to another organization, I will give them that universal account number. They can forward my provident fund to the same account only. So as of now, people will have just one universal account number that helps. How does it help? Previously, that was not the scene. Previously, you will have one account with the previous organization. You change the organization, this new organization will open your other account. Multiplicity of accounts will be there. Because the accounts will be multiple, what will happen? My L&T account in which provident fund is there, it's not earning any interest because it's dormant for more than 6 months. My new account that is actually there, that is earning interest. Now, it is my responsibility now to club them both and make a universal account. So presently, now if anyone opens the account, it is a UAN. It is known as UAN, that is universal account number. It will be applicable for all the accounts. Next, 75% of the members hold balances less than 50,000. So they are holding balances less than 50,000. What does this signify? This signifies that people are frequently withdrawing the money. People keep on withdrawing the money for liquidity requirement. Marriage is there, withdraw the money. Whatever lakh, 2 lakh you have stored, withdraw it and utilize it for marriage. So basically, it is also argued that people do not have the sense of understanding as to why this fund is. People are taking this fund to be savings, fixed deposit, right, with a higher interest rate of 8.3%. Whereas this is not the case. This is for your future requirement. So this clearly signifies that people are withdrawing. Also, only 2.6 crore accounts are active out of the 7 crore account. The others are dormant. This also signifies that a lot of people would have lost the job, would not be doing job, or might not now be doing job in the unorganized sector, or might have stopped putting in money in your provident fund account. So these are the data that we have, which probably is the basis of why the government is coming up with the changes in rules.
So what is the maturity period?
Sorry?
Maturity period for withdrawing the amount.
Maturity period. So there are different periods. Let's say, for example, when you are out of the working age, that is when you can withdraw. But that's not the only time when you can withdraw. Also when you can withdraw is, now let's say you are out of employment. So if you are out of employment after, I lose my job today, so after 1 month I can give the reason of unemployment and withdraw, right? Tomorrow I will not be able to. Why tomorrow I will not be able to? Because the government is giving me some time to search for another job, right? So in the meantime, I should be able to search. This should not be acting as my buffer or the savings kind or sinking kind of a fund. This is for later on. So search for the job. You will have some resources for 1 month. If you still don't have it, you still want to withdraw, and it's been 1 month that you have lost the job, that's when you can withdraw. We'll come on to those details. There are also the details as to how much you can withdraw.
8.3% per annum.
Yeah, 8.3% per annum, of course. Okay, 8.3% per annum. Now, now whatever data we have seen that shows that for people, short-term liquidity has become more important than the long-term pension mindset. So people want short-term liquidity. Okay, let's withdraw it, utilize it for marriage, for education, for hospital bills, for whatever. Even not just for that, you want to buy a bike, you want to buy some luxury products, you have the money over there, you withdraw it, the mindset is like that. Second, informalization and low wages that are there. Informalization. Now, if you are an informal employee, there is no compulsion on the employer to definitely open your provident fund account. But if you are in the formal sector, so if anyone is an employee over here earning less than 15,000, Legacy IAS Academy will be compelled to open their provident fund account. Either if they have it previously only, they will have to ask it and provide them with that. If they don't have it, they will have to open it. Now, if someone is an employee in the organized sector, let's say I join organized sector today, my salary is 20,000. It is up to me whether I want to open the account or not. Is that clear? Next is dormant account affects unstable employment pattern. This is fine. Dormant account is what? It is basically reflecting the unsettled employment. You are in the job, you are not in the job. Since 6 months, you are not in the job. After 6 months, it becomes dormant. That means it's been 6 months and you are not in the job. Okay. Now, let's understand the causes of frequent withdrawals. So, very first is the health emergency. Due to health emergency, people are withdrawing. Now, remember, this data that we are saying that the highest reason is health emergency need not necessarily be true, because many people, when they want to withdraw, even for spending, doing consumption expenditure, you are required to give reasons. So when you are required to give reasons, there are certain heads in which you have to give reason. So what is the reason? Medical emergency. Then only you will be allowed to withdraw. Now one more change that has happened is, previously if you give health emergency as the reason, it will be case by case basis checked whether health emergency is the genuine reason or not. But now what has happened is, the government is allowing certain limit of number of transactions every year under the head of emergency usage. So right now what will happen is, it's a very objective decision. For health emergency, you have not taken more than 3 times, you are allowed. It's just the first time, allow them. Second time, allow them. Once the threshold increases, that's when the government will not allow. So what the government has done is made it easy for me to withdraw my pension fund. Because previously the pension funds could have been rejected also. The pension funds, withdrawal of pension fund could have been rejected. That the investigator realizes that the reason is not genuine. You have not attached any document. All those checkings will be done. Now there is no need for any checking. You are withdrawing only for the first time this year. You are allowed to withdraw it. However, there is one check on that still, that if you are withdrawing more than 50,000 rupees, there will be 10% of TDS that will be deducted. So 5,000 will be deducted if you withdraw 50,000. If you withdraw 1 lakh rupees, 10,000 will be deducted, 10% is the TDS on it. Next is your cultural priorities, education, marriage, for example. Job insecurity or unemployment is also the reason. Right now, if you are out of job for more than 1 month, again you can. So earlier it was 2 months, now that has been reduced to 1 month. So within 1 month, you can basically extract it. So easier withdrawal norms have been made available. Okay? So rule change, let us see the rule change. From 2 months now they have made it 1 month of unemployment before withdrawal. So before I can withdraw giving unemployment as a reason, I should have been unemployed for the last 1 month. If that is the case, no questions asked, here is your money. Okay? Now this is important. Limit. Limit is maximum 25% of balance should remain. Maximum 25% of balance should remain. Now this is a what does this mean? Does anyone know what does it mean? Can you give me an example numerically? Let's say 1 lakh rupees right now I have in my account. In my last 2 years 1 lakh rupees were put in my account. So if I have 1 lakh rupees in the last 2 years, right, how much I can withdraw? 75 is what we are saying. So I can withdraw 75,000. That means 25,000 will remain. Now let's say 3 years pass by, so total 5 years have passed, and let's say now I have 1.5 lakh additionally that have come, right? So 1.5 lakh additionally plus this 25,000 was there. Is that clear? So right now my total balance will be what? 1.75 lakh, correct? How much can I withdraw? No, that is what the catch is. This 25% of balance that should remain is the 25% of the cumulative money that you had in that account. Is that clear? That means right now I have 1.25 lakh. Before withdrawal of 75,000, after withdrawing it remained 25, but before withdrawal how much it was? 1 lakh. So in my account cumulatively how much I have had since the beginning? Since the beginning I have had 1 lakh plus 1.5 lakh, that means a total of 2.5 lakh is what I have had. I can withdraw only 75% of the cumulative. That means 25% of the cumulative is what I have to keep in my account, right? So 25% of the cumulative means this will be 50,000, 72,500 something, right? 70, so 72.5 thousand rupees I have to keep in my account. That means once I have withdrawn it, now another 1.5 lakh have added plus this, but I cannot withdraw 75% of this. 75. G? Cumulated? Year wise.
Is also cumulatively made in the year, in the third year. Right?
Ha, ha, ha.
So if that is the case, why are we not considering 1.75 as a total cumulative value?
No. Cumulative is not how much cumulative is in my account. Cumulative is based on the historical data.
But they don't consider the withdrawals.
They don't consider the?
Withdrawals, 75,000 and all.
That's exactly. They are not considering the withdrawal. So see, the idea is, let's do this calculation again. So basically, since the beginning of the account, when you had 0 rupees, then what happened? 1 lakh rupees, 1 lakh rupees. Let's say every year 1 lakh rupees is coming to you, right? So let's say in 4 years you have 4 lakh rupees. So you can basically withdraw 3 lakh rupees as a total, right? So cumulatively throughout the history, cumulative of the history 25% should be left. Is that clear? Okay. You cannot withdraw 75, you cannot withdraw 75% here, that is 75,000, and then another 1 lakh gets added. So how much you will have? 1.25, right? So you cannot withdraw 75% of 1.25, right? Because if you withdraw 75% of 1.25, you will be left with 25% of 1.25. You should be left with 25% of 2 lakh rupees, right? So basically, because I am emphasizing in this, because the notification has this detail, a lot of magazine does not mention this. So what you have is a maximum of 25% of the cumulative money that was ever present in your account has to be left as a balance in your EPF account. So this is how the government is trying to manage liquidity with social security. Liquidity by allowing you easy removal of the money as and when you want, a lot of number of times, immediately 1 month after your employment, but maintaining social security because 25% no matter what of the entire cumulative history of your PF account will remain. Is that clear?
So every withdrawal has the 10% of tax payment.
If, yes, every withdrawal, if it is more than 50,000, premature withdrawal, these are all premature withdrawals. If there is premature withdrawals every time, more than 50,000, there will be 10% TDS. Less than 50,000 it is not.
What is the final TDS on the expiry of the how much would be the TDS collected?
At the?
At the expiry of the.
At the expiry, that's what, that's a good question. So at the expiry, earlier, the provident fund, as we have discussed in the class, was exempt. That means when you put money, not tax, interest earned, not tax, and this also, when you withdraw, also not tax. Now it is EET, right? This is EET. When you withdraw, it will be tax. So right now, understand, if you are withdrawing 50,000 rupees, now this 50,000 rupees has the employer, it has the employee, plus it has the interest rate. The entire amount is taxed. But when you withdraw at maturity, the interest rate that you have earned is treated as the earning that you have. So at that time, the 10% which will be, that tax which will be there will be only on the interest rate, right? So for example, if 10% would have been taxed, then also on the entire money, it is more or less the same thing. But at that time, only the earning is being taxed. And what is that earning? The interest is the earning. That is why you will have separate bifurcation. 5 lakh employee, 5 lakh employer, 2 lakh is the earning. So 2 lakh is the amount that will be taxed when you withdraw it. But if that 10 lakh you are withdrawing every year 50,000, every time the entire money is getting taxed. That is one way by the government to deter us from withdrawing the money. Okay? So this was, so by doing this, making it easy for you to withdraw but still maintaining 25% of the cumulative as a balance, they are trying to balance the short-term liquidity with the long-term pension protection. Okay? Is that clear? Because previously the number of withdrawals might be limited in a year and it has to be genuine only. But you don't have to have the cumulative 25% requirement. Now that requirement is made cumulative. Okay? So now the implications or the issues with the Indian pension system is the weak pension culture, the less financial awareness. We do not know what instruments to be used for what things. So pension instruments should not be used for liquidity, but because of lack of financial awareness, we do it. You call it lack of financial awareness, or sometimes you can call it basically people are economically weak, so they also want to have a good wedding, they withdraw it. That is also there, right? Reflects a labor market, this we have discussed. Okay? Any questions in that? So you can expect a mains question with respect to how it is trying to maintain liquidity as well as social security. Okay? Any other questions?
Most of the withdrawals are happening towards
Consumption expenditure. Yes, consumption expenditure, yes.
This is why we see something of it as a negative.
Exactly. Since it is because of consumption expenditure and the provident fund was not intended to provide you liquidity. It is not a savings account, and that is why the government is also giving 8.3% interest rate on it, right? So that also entices you to have, because you can also have your voluntary provident fund also, VPF. That also earns interest by the government. So that was government's way to encourage more and more funding, but people are withdrawing as a part of liquidity, which is defeating the purpose. Okay? Clear? Next is decarbonizing the Indian Railways. So as I have mentioned, the first hydrogen powered coach the trial of that coach was successfully conducted. Trial means the trial run without any passengers or without any proper freight. You will be doing the trial run. This was successfully conducted in July 2025. Now, it is basically the part of India's goal of net carbon emission by 2030. Net carbon emission means whatever you might be emitting, the same amount you might be lowering somewhere else or sequestering in order to ensure that the net emission is actually zero. Now, what are the measures that are being taken? So with respect to electrification, so to become net zero, what you have to do is use less of diesel, less of coal, less of more polluting fuel sources. These fuel sources emit a huge amount of carbon footprint. So instead of that, you use something else, like we have the EVs, electric vehicles, instead of petrol and diesel. These electric vehicles pollute less, carbon dioxide is less. So that is why we are having 45,000 kilometers of broad gauge lines electrified. What is broad gauge? broad gauge. So you have seen this train, railway track, right? Railway track. The distance between this and this is the gauge length. This is known as the gauge length. So there is one which is broad gauge, one that is meter gauge, and one that is narrow gauge. So in Darjeeling and all, there are the ghats which are present wherein the small trains run. They are the narrow gauge. So the narrow gauge, the distance between this will be very narrow, like the toy trains that are there. So it will be around 0.65 meters. The meter gauge will have the length of 1 meter, and the broad gauge has the length of 1.54 meters. So this is our usual broad gauge that we travel through one city or one state to other. That is the concept of broad gauge. It is the distance. So that broad gauge is about 45,000 is going to be electrified, is what they're saying. However, there is one catch over here. What is the catch? You might be electrifying it, but what is the source of electricity? So the coal. So if the source of electricity is coal, that means pollution has already taken place, as a result of which one point is important is we need to make sure that we are using the solar powered, hydropower energies that are there, which are non-polluting energy. 98% network on electricity, it will reduce the reliance on diesel, right? So the pollution would be less, so on and so forth. Dedicated freight corridors, increase the rail freight share by to 45% by 2030. So the electric trains that will carry the freight, it should reach up to 45% of the total freight by 2030 in order to achieve net zero carbon emission. Okay? So these are some facts with respect to the renewable energy integration. So this is the installed capacity, 756 million watts of installed capacity. Highest is the solar. Right, 2000, this is important, 2000 plus stations will be solar powered. Solar powered station means whatever the work or whatever, the lighting, this, that, whatever operations are going on those stations will be having solar powered energy. Will be having the solar powered energy. So that is one thing. Next is the hydrogen initiative. 35 hydrogen trains to be introduced. The first trial has taken place in 2025. Now the government will be introducing 35 hydrogen powered cell. Now one issue is there, the issue of hydrogen. What is the issue with hydrogen? It is very clean energy, but the issue of hydrogen is very costly. Is there combustible also? Hydrogen is highly combustible, so it always has a problem of storage, because it will catch fire soon. And if you have, yes, so storage, transportation, handling is an issue, and now you are trying to run trains which are powered by hydrogen cells, hydrogen fueled cells, or hydrogen fuel is there. So you have to take care of the safety, security should be top notch, or else there can be catastrophic things. Okay? Next is climate finance support. Basically, to do that, a lot of support from World Bank, from different climate funds also is coming, because it is in a manner a development project also, but in a manner it is also an environmental conservation project as well. So we have the help of World Bank also to the tune of $245 million for the rail logistic projects, in which the railways will be the electric railways. So these are the different fundings that are present. This is the allocation. This is the allocation through the sovereign green funds. What is sovereign green funds? The sovereign green bonds. These are the bonds that will be issued by the government of India, and these are green bonds. Green bonds means the proceeds of that bond will be used for green technology only. So this is one source of income. This is one allocation of fund that is being made, and this is the help that we are getting from the World Bank. Okay? Significance. This you can use it as a fodder in your answers. Significance will be around 60 million tons of carbon dioxide will be reduced annually. It is as good as removing 1.3 crore cars from the country. How much pollution the 1.3 cars do annually, it will be reduced by that. Okay. Challenges, as you mentioned, it is costly also, so there will be high production cost. Right, there can be storage, handling, safety issues that will be there. Uncertain O&M costs. Uncertain operating and maintenance cost. Basically, with respect to this hydrogen cells and all that are there, their maintenance can also be costly and which can be very uncertain because these things are being tried for the first time. So when you're trying it for the first time, you need to understand how much maintenance will it require, right? Let's say for example, right now we know a diesel car requires more maintenance than a petrol car. Diesel car needs to be up and running. If petrol car is stationary also for a couple of weeks, months, not much of a problem. Now, how do we know that? From experience, from practicality. But that practicality in this sector right now is not that prevalent. So the operation cost can be actually uncertain. We might need very frequent operations. So we exactly don't know how much money will need to be spent. Right, one more thing is the limited diesel share. So presently the share of the diesel driven trains are already very less. So the replacement will not be much of the diesel car, which is the highest polluting. Diesel pollutes the more. That is why the government in their scrapping laws of the cars, the diesel cars, they want to scrap in the next 10 years. Okay? Renewable energy electrification. We have already discussed, if you are doing electrification, the electricity should be produced using clean source of electricity and not thermal power plants. Okay? Way forward is what? Since you need a lot of investment, one way forward is always there, public-private partnership. So we will use the funds of the private sector as well. Okay? Then you have rolling stock innovation. What is a rolling stock? It's related to the inventory. Okay? So basically, rolling stock as in the total inventory that you have, right? Let's say I say that the inventory is 1 lakh units no, inventory is a point data. That means right now I have 1 lakh of units of inventory. Now my rolling stock is how much of the stock is actually leaving out. That is my rolling stock. So rolling stock will be per month. Let's say my rolling stock is 2 lakh per month. This is my rolling stock. So as to ensure that the rolling stock is always satisfied, I have to keep on a good amount of inventory so that there is no gap or lapse in the operation. Now one important thing here is they are also talking about regenerative braking. What is this concept of regenerative braking? Yes, exactly. How does it generate power? Yes, regenerative braking, absolutely. So basically energy can neither be created nor destroyed, transferred from one form to another. So when the wheels are rotating, they have kinetic energy on account of motion, potential energy on account of the height. So there is kinetic energy. Now when you apply brake, so this kinetic energy, it uses, it's going to stop. So where will that kinetic energy go? You should have regenerative braking wherein once you put the brake, that energy is then stored and converted into electricity in the same vehicle, which can then be further used to propel it. Is that clear? So that is the concept of regenerative braking. Then behavioral change, having green certification, green labeling is there, making aware to the citizens. Right, that is how you will make it prevalent also. You have to make it safe so that the citizens want to go over there. You have to create awareness that this is better. So all that behavioral changes will be needed. Okay? So this was the decarbonization of the railways. Okay? Any questions, guys? Nothing? Next is the World Food Day and 80th anniversary of Food and Agriculture Organization. It was observed. Sorry? Railways Ministry, railways, the decarbonization of railway. And it is this decarbonization of railway and railway also helping in net carbon zero is a very long drawn thing. Under that umbrella term of decarbonization of railway, one small term is what? Hydrogen fueled trains. Okay? Yes, exactly. Exactly. So the decarbonization is an umbrella term of the railways. Okay? Yes. So next is the World Food Day observed on 16th October. This is the theme. This I think photo signifies that only. Hand in hand for better food and a better future. So this is the theme. This is quite factual. Objective is what is the objective of any day that is celebrated? Environment Day, right? Earth Day. In the same manner, World Food Day. It is to create awareness, right? so as to create the awareness. Awareness on what? Because it's food day, so awareness on hunger, nutrition, sustainable food system, so on and so forth. So this is easily guessable for the answers. Now, important thing is the theme. So the idea to remember the theme is try to do that year's theme only, which is the recent one, and go. So what will happen is if they mention it, you will know it is this year's. If it is something else, you know this is the previous year's or some other. If you do a couple of years themes, you will actually get confused which one was which year. So this is one thing you can do. Sometimes it so happens is World Earth Day celebrated in June. So they tell what is the theme. They also propose the theme for the next year. So in certain cases, those cases you should know both the themes. Okay? Now the goal is what? The goal is to achieve the food security. That is what Food and Agriculture Organization subscribes for. So they are trying to use the intervention of technology for giving more production. When there is more production, it will lead to better accessibility. When production is high, prices will go down, so it will lead to affordability. So it will lead to availability, affordability, as well as accessibility of the food. These three things together leads to your food security. Okay? So that is what the aim. Now the core functions is technical assistance in agriculture. So technological assistance in agriculture, fisheries, as well as the land management. So technological intervention is the important point over here, right? And we need global cooperation. So we are talking about cooperating globally, training the people all over the world in the best practices, in saving the wastages of food that is happening, in producing better, getting more yield. That is what this World Food Day tried to do. Okay? So what happens is they will celebrate on a day. There will be a lot of, throughout the world, there will be different seminars, there will be different gatherings. In those gatherings, people will be trained, people will be handhold, discussions will take place, knowledge sharing will happen. That will transfer the knowledge from one person to another. That is the idea of this celebration. There are some things which are celebrated over a week. Safety days. Safety week is celebrated actually. Quality week, safety week. So that is the entire week in which the training and all will go on. Because in safety and all, you will need more practical hands-on training, so you have for a week as well. The other reports that food organization brings out is the state of food agriculture, that is SOFA, and the state of food security and nutrition in the world, that is SOFI. Both are brought out by Food and Agriculture Organization. It is United Nations specialized organization. Specialized means one of the 15 specialized organizations. There are total 15 specialized organizations. FAO is one of them. And India is a founding member of Food and Agriculture Organization. So in the 1940s, whatever organizations came into existence, we were still in the British rule. So if you look at United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, you look at World Bank, you look at IMF, for all of these, we are the founding members. Okay. India joined in 1945. Okay. See, the article talked about this, but of course, Food and Agriculture Organization is not the main reason as to why we are able to feed ourselves. Okay. But this is just the linkage they are trying to put it, from food deficient to food surplus nation feeding 1.4 billion people. But definitely some help of Food and Agriculture Organization has been there, right? So that is why the linkage is with respect to the Green Revolution. Food and Agriculture Organization was supporting India in its Green Revolution with respect to United Nations funding for the hybrid seeds, which were provided in cheap to the farmers, not completely in cheap, but yes. So there was funding and help of Food and Agriculture Organization during India's Green Revolution. That is why this linkage is shown. Okay. It's mentioned here. Supported India's Green Revolution, agricultural diversification, food security. Yes, it did that. The outcome of this, getting surplus food is addressing the SDG 2, that is zero hunger. Okay. Now they have given about another program. See, whenever any day is celebrated, it will be in sync with a lot of things. So World Food Day, it will be in sync with sustainable development. It will be in sync with environmental conservation. It will be in sync with poverty alleviation. Why it is in sync? You are trying to save food, trying to make it accessible. When you provide food to the people at cheap, you are also helping them in poverty. So if you come across a question that this particular thing will help out in XYZ, Most probably yes. If the theme is the same, then yes, it will be in sync with so many other things. So they have given an example of the Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework that India has for 23-27. So World Food Day, its theme, etc. is in sync with this Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework, wherein India along with other countries is looking to develop sustainably and to cooperate with each other, and that is exactly the same with respect to food, the World Food Day also. So they all are in sync. Okay? Next is this Rangarajan poverty line. So this Rangarajan poverty line, what it has done is it has basically updated the Rangarajan poverty line using the HCES. Basically this is the household survey. Household, this HCES is Household Consumption Expenditure Survey. Using the Household Consumption Expenditure Survey, the RBI has updated Rangarajan poverty line data for 30 major states. Now when we say major, this major is with respect to the GDP of the state and the population of the state. So major populous state we are talking about. There is no other parameter to say that this is a minor state or this is a major state. We are talking about based on the population. They have taken the 20 states as the major state. So the purpose of course was to assess what is the situation, to compare the present situation with the past situation of 2011-12. So this is the key finding. This is now important. So in Odisha's rural area, Odisha's rural area 47.5% decline, and it has declined, the poverty has declined to 8.6%. This is very significant. In Bihar urban area, the poverty has declined by 50.8% to 9.1. Now let's try to understand the parallel with respect to overall poverty. So as per World Bank, our overall poverty is somewhere around 10%, right? Now this does not sync well, because Bihar, which is a state which is considered to be very poor, are we meaning to say that it has poverty less than the poverty of India? No, that is not the case. Why it's not the case? Because if you look at Bihar's rural population, so majority of the population lives in rural areas, and in rural area Bihar has more than 30% of poverty. So when you club this with this, on an average you will have more than 20% of poverty present in Bihar. So that is how you can basically link this data, because this picture was shown just to show us that there has been a drastic decrease, but in rural areas still the poverty is more than 30% in Bihar. Next is the minor declines which have happened in Kerala and Himachal Pradesh, because already the poverty percentages are less. That is why. If you look at the rural urban extremes, so lowest is Himachal Pradesh, right, and the highest is Chhattisgarh. So Chhattisgarh, again, Chhattisgarh came out of which state? So comparable poverty line is still here. Okay? Urban poverty is lowest in Tamil Nadu and highest in again Chhattisgarh. Chhattisgarh it is going to be highest. The total also is highest, urban is also highest. Now the definition of poverty, we know the inability of a person to meet its basic needs, right? So we have the pronounced deprivation in the well-being of a person. This is how World Bank defines it. Now well-being of a person, we take it to be the basic necessity which needs to be met. Okay. This is the updated global poverty line, right? It was earlier it was $1.9. From $1.9 it was increased to 2. This was 2015, updated to 1.9. Then in 2017 it was updated to 2.15, and now it is $3 per day in purchasing power parity terms. Okay.
There's another report which you've asked in the CMT also. It talks that India's poverty line, the amount is
2.9 or something.
2.5 to 2.9
हाँ नहीं, that will be without PPP terms शायद. Just check it once. If you tell me the report, I'll just cross check it. ठीक है. So in PPP terms, the World Bank has defined it as $3 per day in PPP terms. ठीक है. Yes, ठीक है. We'll see that. We'll see that. But this is factually correct as per 2021's revision, and PPP terms. This is $3. Now the key drivers of poverty decline is what? The various schemes that were mentioned in the article. You have the Manrega scheme, you have the National Food Security Act, you have various Pradhan Mantri Kisan Yojana, right? Manrega scheme, which provides you the right to work. So all these schemes, basically these are the central sector schemes. These are generally the central sector schemes that are there. Plus you have the DBT, that is direct benefit transfer, Jan Dhan Aadhaar Mobile, Jan Dhan Yojana, that is there, financial inclusion the government has given. Plus the rural infrastructure electrification also helps. Why it helps? Now whenever there is electrification etc., there is a better environment for people to do work, people to do business, people to do study, people to do job. If imagine in the entire village there is no electricity, it makes it difficult for you to do business, for you to study, a lot of things. So these are the indirect benefits which will also accrue from it. Okay? Now this is the last one. Okay? Last one is the multi-dimensional poverty index. So the multi-dimensional poverty index report 2025 has been released. Okay? It is released by United Nations Development Program along with the Oxford University's Poverty and Human Development Institute. The Oxford Poverty and Human Development Institute. So it is released in association with, you can write, this is OPHI, Oxford Poverty and Human Development Institute plus United Nations Development Program. They have reduced this report. Now, what is the importance of this report, or what they are trying to showcase? Whenever some report tries to showcase some link, that should become important for your mains exam. They are trying to showcase the overlap of the multidimensional poverty and the hardships that the climate change is putting onto us. So they are saying there is an overlap. The places wherein there will be a lot of climate hardships, it is going to lead to a lot of multidimensional poverty index, that is one. And these climatic hardships is also bringing multidimensional poverty. That is what they are trying to emphasize on, and that is very true. The same logic you can apply if there is civil war, it will be like that. If there are atrocities, if there is war that is going on, if there is conflict that is going on, so if you talk about the Gaza belt for example, of course the poverty will increase because the things are getting destroyed. In the war, the things are getting destroyed by humans, man-made, artificial, anthropogenic. When it comes to climate change, we can say it is a natural disaster, but then again we can argue it is man-made also, because we are polluting a lot, as a result of which the climate change is happening. So there is a strong link between multidimensional poverty, increase in multidimensional poverty, and the presence of the, so they are talking about the overlapping hardships of poverty and the climate hazards. Plus, in addition to that, what happens is the places which are multidimensionally poor, if the climate hazards also when it comes over there, it will lead to double whammy on the people. It will lead to double whammy on the people. Why double whammy? They are already poor. Now when they are poor, they have less adaptability. The adaptability is not there. Adaptability comes with money and resources. If there is climate change, extremity of weather, and there is heat waves, I have an AC inside my house. I have a shelter on top of my head. So that is giving me ability to fight the climate change. But the poor person who does not have a shelter is outside dying out of heat waves, right? Outside dying out of flood. But people in big structure inside a room of AC air conditioner, they are more able to basically stand this challenge that is coming. So there will be double whammy that will be there, because the poor people are the ones who are more unable to fight the climate change that is happening. Okay. So some of the data they have released, around 1.1 billion people, over 1 billion people, so close to 1/5 of the people live in acute multi-dimensional poverty. Majority of them are young, rural, and from the low human development countries. Human development index, you have low, you have medium, you have high, and you have very high. So they are from the low development countries. If you look at the income group, around 65% are from the middle income group. 65% are from the middle income group. ठीक है? India is also a middle income group country. ठीक है? If you look at the deprivation, so you have various parameters. These are the parameters for calculating the multidimensional poverty. So in that, what is the highest deprivation is what is mentioned over here. So clean cooking fuel, then you have adequate housing, sanitation, undernutrition, out of school children. Okay? So this is the sequence. The top 2, 3 you can probably remember. Okay? Also look at this criteria. One third health, 1/3 education, 1/3 living standard. Now this is the criteria that the United Nations Development Program uses, right? And they come up with their report and they give their report. Now the governments of the world also can utilize this criteria. So India and India's Niti Aayog also uses this criteria, but India's Niti Aayog uses this criteria with a small modification. This is the modified Niti Aayog version. This is the modified Niti Aayog version. So what has Niti Aayog done? It has kept health 1/3, education 1/3, standard of living 1/3, but it has added maternal health, yes, maternal health over here. So because of which the earlier it was maternal health was not present, right? So they have added maternal health and they have given it 1/12, 1/12. Nutrition they have kept it as 1/6 only. This is one change. Second change is over here where they have added the bank account. So instead of 6, now there are 7 parameters. So each one gets 1/20 what? 1 rating. Okay? So this is Niti Aayog's and this is United Nations Development Programs. And then this report talks about the nexus between the two, the climate shocks in which the areas which are affected by poverty, if there are climate shocks over there, it is going to further intensify the multidimensional poverty that is there. So this overlap has been established. Okay? Because these people are also going to be very much unable to meet the climate change that is happening. Okay? Any questions, guys? Yes. Which one? Polycrisis report. I'll check it. What is it? Per day per person. Okay. अच्छा 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 हाँ
This also that I learned from CMT, the test. It said that it is in Rangarajan committee that nutrition was added, nutrition-based food supply was added. So does that become applicable to these 20 states then?
Yes, that will become applicable because what they are doing here is they are not changing the criteria. So whatever the calorie, this, that, anything is there, they are not changing that. They are just extrapolating it to the present scenario, right? So basically whatever methodology they have used, they are using that only. So right, let's see if instead of 2014 we would have been in 2015 only, so they would have not been required to make any changes. Is that clear? So this updation that they are doing is they are not changing the methodology that the Rangarajan committee, because changing the methodology is basically what? Doing it from scratch only. Okay? So they are not changing it.
Regarding that EPFO, like the capital receipt would be increasing if government had more EPFOs, like it would be a liability for the government.
Yes, that is correct.
And if consumption has increased, people are taking out the money and consuming, that would give away the indirect taxes for the government, so revenue receipt will be increasing.
Correct. That will be a good thing for the government. Yes, exactly.
So why they are concerned and introducing like you should be safer for the safer side for your retirement goals and all now?
Are,
I believe we are not addressing the aspect of social security that has to be provided to these people.
see, that is the thing. So the government is not criticizing this move, na? So when I am allowed to take out more money, so of course I will take out more money more frequently, I will spend. When I spend, there will be demand that will be created, the GDP will also increase, right? More demand created, more tax revenue that the government will generate. But then the government also has to take care of the social safety net or the social security net. Because what will happen is, when you have the social safety net of pension, after retirement you can take care of yourself. If you don't have the money, then Who is responsible to take care of yourself? You will say the family. But if the family is not there, again, the government is giving old age pension, the government is giving free food, the government is giving cheap food. So the dependency will still be there. So if you keep some amount of money for later on, it will make you self-dependent or independent of the government doles also. So there needs to be a proper balance between the two. Because in that case, then you should do what? You should do in the sense that withdraw complete 100%. Now that will generate even more revenue, of course. But then that is not the idea of the pension fund to start with. है ना? It has to be there remaining for the later on. Is that clear? Sure. Now the idea is, in that case, can the government say that it is completely fixed, you cannot touch it till you retire or you are out of job? Now that is also not good, because India is not a country wherein our basic needs are easily met, and if we do it, it will be doing only luxury expenditure. No, sometimes people really need it for medical emergencies, right? So the sweet spot need to be struck. Whether the government has struck that sweet spot or not is what is being debated. Okay? Clear? See, now the questions will be very straightforward immediately after the discussion. With reference to Global Multidimensional Poverty Index report released by UNDP and OPHI, consider the following. It overlays multidimensional poverty data with climate hazard exposure for the first time. Yes, it is doing it for the first time. Okay. According to report, nearly 2/3 of the world's multidimensional poor are in low income countries. No, approximately 2/3 are in the middle income countries. So statement 2 is only correct. Sorry, statement 1 is only correct. Statement 1 is only correct. Next is with reference to RBI's paper updating Rangarajan poverty line using household consumption expenditure survey data, consider the following. Prepared by economists from the RBI's Department of, yes, this is correct, this is factually correct. It is being prepared by the RBI's Department of Economic and Policy Research. Odisha and Bihar recorded the largest decline in poverty. Yes, they recorded the largest decline. The Rangarajan committee methodology was officially adopted by the government. No, it was not officially adopted. So this and this is incorrect. Statement 1 is correct. It was not officially adopted. With reference to world food, see, it was not officially adopted, but now we are using those data, and if we use that data into policy making, though we are not officially accepting it, but practically it is being used. Next, with reference to World Food Day and India's association with FAO, World Food Day theme emphasizes transforming agri-food system through global cooperation. Yes, hand in hand, they are talking about global cooperation. The FAO's country programming framework for India focuses on exclusively achieving zero hunger. It does not focus on exclusively achieving hunger, zero hunger. As I mentioned in the slide, it is related, it is in sync with the zero hunger. It is in sync with providing food, but it is not exclusively for food. It has various other sustainable approaches to it along with the food approach as well. So it is not exclusively for food. So 2 is incorrect, only 1 is correct. The last one, with reference to EPFO's proposed withdrawal reforms, the proposal aims to curb frequent premature withdrawals while ensuring limited liquidity support during unemployment. Next, under the proposed rule, members can withdraw up to 50% of their balance after 1 month of employment. No, they can withdraw up to 75%, but 25% of the cumulative should remain. This is incorrect. Now, this is a bit subjective in nature, right? This is a bit subjective. This is arguable. So why this is argued? This is debatable. Why it is debatable? Some of the economists will debate that no, you are not basically ensuring the limited liquidity support. The liquidity support is too much, and in fact it is not going to curb premature withdrawal. So what is going to happen in future, what will come out of it, that is debatable. But when this question is framed, this question will be framed with respect to the rules with what objective the government has brought in. What is the government's objective for that? So the government's objective is this. Since the government's objective is this, if it is asked in the question scenario, we have to obey with that objective. We have to accept it to be true. So when the government is brought in, it is saying that when we bring in these proposals, it is going to curb the frequent withdrawals, but it is also going to provide you the liquidity support during the unemployment. And instead of waiting for 2 months, immediately after 1 month you are getting it. So unemployment support is there. It is going to curb premature withdrawals. Also, one factor that curbs is 25% of the cumulative requirement need that is present by the government side. So this is actually the objective of the government. So in debating, we may debate against it, but factually it remains correct for our prelims. Okay? Is that clear? Any questions, guys? Right, please go through your magazine that would have come immediately so that it is refreshed, and then you should be able to solve these questions. Thank you.